Hello, my name is Ruchika Chopra and I work with the Urban Collaborative. You are receiving this information because you are registered for our Urban Collaborative spring meeting in Nashville, Tennessee. Some of you coming for this meeting were also there for our New York City meeting last fall. In that meeting, you were able to meet with Dr. Michael Giangreco, where he focused on his work around reimagining inclusive service delivery. We are excited to say that we have been able to convince Dr. John Greco to join us in Nashville to go deeper in this work with us. Dr. John Greco is here today helping to remind us, for those of us who were there in November, and provide some context to those who were not able to attend. This is to help us get reacquainted and prepared for our work with him in Nashville. Dr. John Greco spent nearly 40 years working with children and adults in a variety of capacities, including special education teacher, community residence counselor, camp counselor, school administrator, educational consultant, university teacher, and researcher. Until recently, he was a faculty member at the University of Vermont. His work and educational experiences have led Dr. John Greco to focus his work on three interrelated aspects of educating students with and without disabilities in their local general education schools: individualized curriculum planning, adapting curriculum and instruction, and coordinating support services in schools. You know him from his work in including choosing outcomes and accommodations for children, a guide to educational planning for students with disabilities, his educational cartoons, and his extensive work around the supports provided by paraprofessionals in inclusive settings. Dr. John Greco.
Thank you, Ruchika. Hi, everybody. It was so nice meeting many of you in New York City at the last Urban Collaborative meeting, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again and meeting more of you in Nashville. Just as a reminder to those of you who are in New York, and as a kind of introduction to those of you who missed that meeting but will be with us in Nashville, I gave a chat to the whole group that was called Reimagining Inclusive Service Delivery. Uh, and it's based on some very basic tenets. And we're going to walk you through just a couple of the key overarching ideas and then let you know where you can get some resources to be prepared to participate in this next level session that we're planning for Nashville. So, as many of you know, general education and special education continue to be kind of siloed systems. And general ed has models of service delivery based on a lot of very purposeful choices. And right now, our special education services and systems don't necessarily account for the full range of diversity that we have in our schools in terms of the range of students that we're serving, including students with the full range of disabilities. Part of the idea behind this work is that we have so much emphasis on curriculum and instruction and behavior support, which is all really important stuff. But as this quote says, without effective service delivery configurations, most notably thoughtful personnel utilization and deployment, even the most advantageous innovations in curriculum, instruction, and social behavioral interventions likely will not fully realize their intended impact. So we also want to make sure that we're avoiding kind of this either or choice of inclusion or instruction. We already know how to instruct kids by pulling them out. We have a long history of systematic instructional data and that it can work. But sometimes the cost that people seem to be willing to pay is exclusion or segregation of students in order to get that instruction. We also know that sometimes kids kind of just get dropped into regular classes without appropriate instructional or curricular support. And part of the notion of this work is that we're only really going to advance if we do both. We make sure that kids have access to inclusive environments and that we provide them with strong curriculum and instruction in those inclusive environments. We don't want to sacrifice either. So we've done some work over the last, oh gosh, now 15 years on inclusion-oriented schools and a variety of service delivery variables and practices that can have an impact on equitable access to appropriate and quality educational opportunities for all children. That material is summarized in a resource that we're going to share with you here in a moment about how to get it if you don't already have it. So part of this is really about bridging this gap between the research that we've done and practice in schools. So we've looked at taking existing data and looking at how it can be reimagined in a cost-neutral way, in a plausible way. And I shared some of those models and those ideas in New York. We're going to be diving deeper into that. And the models that we're looking at, we just want to point out, it's not a model. It's not, excuse me, it's a model, not the model. So I'm not suggesting like, here's the answer. This is all contextual based on school-based data, where the school is the unit of analysis. So no matter how big your district is, and many of you, of course, are in very large urban districts, this is about data that you can use at the school level. And the work that we're doing hopefully is going to spur some discussion and some creative problem solving and help you move to some actions that you can take in your schools. And we started that process in New York. So if you're planning on participating in this next level, we're trying to design it so that if you were there in New York and you either participated in just the general group keynote, or you followed up on the Saturday morning with a little bit more looking at the tools, this will be hopefully a logical next step. For those of you who weren't there, there's some things that you can do to prepare yourself so that you can kind of hit the ground running when we are in Nashville. The most important thing would be to read this article, Precarious or Purposeful, Proactively Building Inclusive Special Education Service Delivery on Solid Ground. And that is the foundation for the keynote that I gave in New York and is the basis for all of this work. And it summarizes a series of studies that have been done over the last several years. If you have a chance as a supplemental reading, but I think would be quite helpful, is to read this article led by Shauna Haynes, Examination and Redesign of Inclusive Special Education Service Delivery in a Rural School. Now, I know you're all in urban schools, but one of the things that is important to recognize is that because this approach is based on the school as the unit of analysis, the fact of whether the school is an urban school or a rural school really is not as important as the fact that it is the school that's the unit of analysis. And in this article, it follows a real school here in Vermont that used the data and the ideas that are in the first article to actually implement change. And it shows visual maps and descriptions of how where the school started and then how they changed over time. So definitely the first article and the second article if you can swing it. We're also going to ask people who to come prepared so that our session is the most valuable. And there are two tools that we're asking you to come prepared with. One is completing a school demographics questionnaire. It's a 2-page questionnaire that I introduced on the Saturday morning in New York. And what we're asking you to do is select one school that's of interest to you and to complete this school demographic questionnaire based on that one school. And we'd ask you to bring that school demographic information to Nashville with you, because that's the kind of data that we're going to be working with. We want to be working with real situations, not hypotheticals. So bring it with you to Nashville. If you are interested in having your school be considered as an example that we might use with the larger group so that we can talk through some things together using a real example, you can email that in advance and let us know that it's okay to use your example with the larger group. So that's one thing, this 2-page digital questionnaire, school demographic questionnaire. The second is I introduced you in those of you who were in Nashville, some of you were at the Saturday morning session where we introduced a tool, which is basically a PowerPoint that has a whole bunch of symbols and icons off to the side that you can copy and paste and drag and move around to create your own visual map of your school. There are examples of, there's one here for whole school, and then there are ones at the grade level as well. But there are examples of this in both of the articles that were mentioned, the precarious and purposeful and the Haynes article. There are examples of these different maps. And so if you're able to use PowerPoint, you can use this because literally there's a template inside of it. There's instructions inside the PowerPoint, and there are these icons that you can move around and you can duplicate, you can eliminate, you can individualize. And what we're asking people to do is to try to create a map of what your school looks like now in terms of how your services are organized. And again, you have examples to look at in the articles. And again, we'd ask you to bring that with you to Nashville. And if you'd like us to be able to use it as an example with the large group, please email it in advance. So here are the links to get all of these materials that we're talking about. You can email anything to the Urban Collaborative. You've got the 2 articles. Those are the second and third bullets. The school demographic questionnaire, fourth, and the mapping, the PowerPoint mapping is last. So looking forward to seeing you in Nashville. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Giangreco. Just everyone, if you are unable to access any of the links or anything, please, like Dr. Giangreco said, email us at urbancolaborative@asu.edu. We want the session with Dr. Giangreco to be something that you can leave and go back and use with your districts, with your schools. So please let us know if there's anything we can do to help get you prepared to be able to be in the as a part of the session and to be able to take the most out of it and most out of the time that you spend with Dr. Giangreco in Nashville for our Urban Spring member meeting. Looking forward to seeing you all there. Take care.